Welcome to Valmiki Ramayan in English.
Let's meet the creator behind it all, Dr. T.K. Bansal.
What's so amazing is that he's a blind scientist from the University of Oxford.
And he is on a pretty ambitious mission.
Basically, he's presenting this ancient story for a whole new generation.
He's taking the classic Valmiki Ramayan and turning it into modern English videos.
The whole point is just to make this incredible story accessible to literally everyone.
And you know what? This is actually where you can help out.
It's really simple to support the project. Just like the videos, share, and subscribe.
Seriously, every little bit of engagement helps this amazing vision reach more people.
Okay, so picture this. You're standing on a mountain, a rugged, really remote peak called Rishimuka, and it's the backdrop for one of the most, cinematic meetings in all of literature. On one side, you've got Rama, an exiled prince, an avatar, but right now he's got nothing. And on the other, you have Sugriva, a monkey king, a Vinara, but he's not on a throne. He's terrified. He's hiding.
It's a completely desperate scene. And usually when people talk about this part of the Valmiki Ramayana, the Kishkindha Kaand, they just jump straight to the alliance.
Right, the whole enemy of my enemy thing.
Exactly. The strategic deal where they team up.
Yeah.
But that's not really the heart of it, is it?
Not at all. Looking at the source material for this deep dive, Sargas 8, 9, and 10, the political treaty is like the surface level.
Yeah.
What really jumped out at me is that we're looking at a masterclass in two things. How a friendship is built and, well, how a family is torn apart by one misunderstanding.
That is the perfect way to frame it. We're going to deconstruct how a brotherhood was just, destroyed by a single assumption and how a new bond was forged right in its place. It's a study in leadership, in communication breakdown, and of course, Dharma under pressure.
Let's start with that new bond then. Sarga 8. Rama and his brother Lakshmana arrive on the mountain, they meet Sugriva, and the first thing that hits you is the total lack of protocol. These are royals. You expect thrones, gold, something, but there's nothing.
It's stripped completely bare. The text describes Sugriva breaking a branch off a sal tree, this, beautiful flowering tree, and just lays it on the ground. That's the seat for Rama.
Just a branch.
Just a branch. Then Hanuman does the same for Lakshmana. It's an equalizer, right?
Yeah.
It immediately signals that titles, they just don't matter up here. Only character does. It's raw.
And Sugriva doesn't waste any time. Usually if you're a king meeting an ally, you project strength, You want to look like a good investment. But Sugriva basically looks at Rama and just admits, I am terrified.
Zero ego. He tells Rama, I'm persecuted. I'm roaming this forest in fear. He even uses this really heavy phrase. He calls himself orphaned, metaphorically. He's making himself completely vulnerable. I have no one, and I'm being hunted.
Which sets up this really fascinating definition of what a friend is. And I think this is key for anyone listening, who thinks of friendship as just like hanging out. In the Ramayana, friendship isn't a vibe, it's a binding contract.
It really is. Sugriva lays out the terms. He says, a true friend doesn't see a difference between my wealth and your wealth. It's all shared. Whether you're happy or in total grief, a friend is the ultimate refuge, an absolute shelter.
The line that got me was about the stakes. He says a true friend is willing to give up their country for the other. That's foreshadowing on a huge scale.
It is. And to seal it, they don't just shake hands. They light a fire. They invoke Agni, the fire god, as a witness.
So this is now a sacred covenant.
Absolutely. It's not political anymore, and Sugriva says, you are dearer to me than life itself.
And Rama, who's been pretty stoic until now, he finally smiles, he validates it, and then he makes his offer. He says, I will kill Vali.
And this is the pivot. Vali is Sugriva's older brother, the source of all this terror. But, Sugriva is still shaking in his boots. He spent years being tormented by Vali. He doubts anyone can actually take him down. Vali is like a superpower in this world.
So Rama has to do a bit of a sales pitch.
A very aggressive sales pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
He describes his arrows in this vivid, almost violent detail. He says they're winged with vulture feathers, tipped with gold, forged in the war god's forest. He compares them to Indra's Vajra, the thunderbolt. He calls them enraged snakes.
Wow. Enraged snakes.
It's meant to be intense. He's telling Sugriva, I'm not just a soldier. I am a force of nature. I have the divine capacity to solve your problem.
Which really begs the question, and this is the core mystery here. Why is he so afraid of his own brother? How do you get from brothers to mortal enemies who need thunderbolt arrows to sort things out?
And that takes us to Sarga 9. It's one of the most tragic flashbacks in mythology. Sugriva tells Rama the story, and it starts out happy. Vali was the beloved king. Sugriva, the loyal number 2, there was no jealousy. They worked.
So it wasn't a Cain and Abel thing from birth, it was situational.
Completely.
Yeah.
The catalyst is this demon, Mayavi. He shows up at the gates of Kishkindha at midnight, roaring, challenging Vali to a fight. Now, you have to understand Vali's psychology. He's the alpha.
Yeah.
He cannot let a challenge go unanswered.
The text even says his wives and Sugriva were begging him, physically holding him back.
Yep, bowing at his feet. But he just pushes them aside. He can't help himself. He rushes out, and Sugriva, out of pure loyalty, follows him. He won't let his brother fight alone.
Okay.
So the demon sees he's outnumbered 2-1 and he flees. He runs into this deep hole in the ground, a cave covered in grass.
And this is it, the fork in the road.
This is the moment. Vali turns to Sugriva and says, "You stand guard here. I'm going in to kill him." And he makes Sugriva swear on his feet to stay put.
It's a command from his king and his older brother.
Right. So Sugriva waits.
And this is the detail that's so easy to miss, but it's maybe the most important part of this whole deep dive. He waits for a full year.
Let's just pause on that. A full year, 12 months. The seasons change. Think about the psychological toll of that. Standing outside a dark cave every single day.
Not knowing if your brother is alive or dead?
Most people wouldn't wait a week, maybe a month, but a year. That's a level of devotion that is almost impossible to comprehend.
But then something changes. After a year of silence, he sees blood flowing out of the cave. The text is very specific. It says it was blood mixed with foam.
That detail, the frothy blood, it's almost forensic. It implies a lung injury, a violent struggle. And with the blood, Sugriva hears the roaring of demons. But, and this is crucial, he does not hear his brother's voice.
So put yourself in his shoes. You're the listener here. You've waited a year. You see foamy blood. You hear the enemy. You don't hear your brother. What's the logical deduction?
The only deduction is that Vali is dead. It's a reasonable, though, as we find out, incorrect assumption. Sugriva is crushed. The text says he was drowned in an ocean of sorrow. But he'd still have a duty. If Vali's dead, that demon is going to come out next and destroy the whole kingdom.
So he makes a command decision. He blocks the cave.
And not with a little rock. He uses a boulder the size of a mountain peak. He seals the tomb, performs the funeral rites for his brother, and goes back to the city to report what happened.
This is the whole tragedy of Sarga 9, isn't it? He acted out of love, thinking he was protecting his people, but he was actually trapping his brother.
Exactly. But when we get to Sarga 10, we learn this really harsh lesson about communication. Sugriva gets back to Kishkindha. He tries to keep it a secret, but the ministers find out. And they basically draft him to be king. You can't have a vacant throne. It's an invitation for invasion.
Right. He accepts probably just to protect the kingdom, and he rules fairly. But then the twist?
Vali wasn't dead.
He'd killed the demon.
Yep. It just took him a really long time. And now he's trapped behind this massive rock his brother put there.
Which he eventually just kicks aside.
Of course. He's Vali. He marches back to the city, walks into the court, and he sees Sugriva on his throne.
And the text says his eyes turn red with anger. He doesn't ask a single question. He just sees betrayal.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Compare their reactions. Vali goes straight to rage. But what does Sugriva do when he sees his brother is alive?
He doesn't fight. He doesn't argue. He tries to de-escalate immediately.
His diplomacy is just incredible. I mean, he steps down on the spot, he takes off his crown and touches Vali's feet with it.
That gesture alone, that's the ultimate sign of submission.
It is. He's placing his authority, his head, literally at his brother's feet. He hands back the royal umbrella, the fly whisk, all the symbols of power, and he says, "I only took this to protect our people. I held it in trust for you. You are the king, I am the servant."
He explains everything. The blood, the demon's roar, the year of waiting. He is completely transparent. He begs for forgiveness.
But Vali is deaf to it. He has built a narrative in his head. My brother trapped me to steal my kingdom. And no amount of evidence is going to change that story for him. He calls a public assembly to humiliate Sugriva in front of everyone.
He calls him a traitor. Cruel. It's almost like gaslighting, except Vali genuinely believes it. He just completely ignores the 1 year of waiting.
Total communication breakdown. Vali asks, "Why did you block the cave?" But he doesn't listen to the answer. He just uses the fact that the cave was blocked as proof of treason.
And then comes the punishment. Exile. With only a single garment. Just the clothes on his back.
It's total humiliation. But the final straw, the thing that really seals Vali's fate, is what he does next. He seizes Ruma, Sugriva's wife.
That's the core grievance. That's what Sugriva tells Rama. He took my wife.
Yes. The moral framework of the Ramayana, that is the line you just cannot cross. It's a dharma, unrighteousness. Until then, you could say it was a tragic misunderstanding, but taking your living brother's wife, that turns Vali from a wronged king into a tyrant.
Which brings us full circle to Rama, because when Sugriva tells him this part, he took my wife, he took my kingdom, Rama is seeing a mirror.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The symmetry. Rama is exiled. Sugriva is exiled. Rama's wife, Sita, was stolen by Ravana. Sugriva's wife, Ruma, stolen by Vali. They are living the exact same nightmare.
It explains why Rama's reaction is so immediate. In Sarga 10, after hearing about the wife, he doesn't say, well, let me get Vali's side of the story. He just delivers a verdict.
He does. He says, beneficence is the fruit of friendship, which is a beautiful way of saying this is what friends do. We help. He calls Vali a sinner and says he's living on borrowed time. The morality is crystal clear to Rama. Vali's reaction crossed the line into wickedness.
And you can feel Sugriva's relief. The text says a massive weight just lifts off his shoulders. For the first time, he actually believes someone can stand up to Vali.
Right, because until now, Vali has been invincible. And this brings us back to that little detail about where they are. Mama Chemuka, Sugriva mentions he's safe there for a special reason.
The curse, right. That prevents Vali from setting foot on that specific mountain. It's his one sanctuary.
Exactly. So by the end of Sarga 10, the pact is sealed not just by fire, but by shared trauma. Rama sees his own struggle in Sugriva. Helping him isn't just a favor, it's an affirmation of justice.
It's just so human. It's not about monsters and magic. It's a legal drama. It's a family counseling session gone horribly wrong.
It is. And it shows that strength without wisdom, which is what Vali represents, leads to destruction. He had the strength to kill a demon, but he lacked the wisdom to listen to his brother.
So what's the big takeaway here? We have the definition of friendship, be a refuge. And we have the cave incident, the misunderstanding that broke everything.
I think the biggest takeaway is how fragile relationships are when communication breaks down. Vali and Sugriva loved each other, but one ambiguous event, combined with a total lack of trust on Vali's part, shattered that bond forever.
It really is the danger of snap judgments. Vali sees the rock and decides betrayal. He never stopped to ask why.
And that refusal to ask why cost him everything.
Right.
His brother, his morality, and eventually his life.
It's a heavy listen.
And on the other side, you have Rama and Sugriva, strangers, no shared history. But they sit down, they talk, they're vulnerable, and they build a bond dearer than life. It suggests that shared values can be stronger than shared blood.
Wow. You can be born brothers and become enemies, or meet on a mountain and become soulmates.
That is the essence of the Kishkindha Kaand.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one last thought. We talked about the asymmetry of patience in this story. Sugriva waited outside a cave for a year, 12 months of loyalty.
And Vali.
Vali couldn't wait 5 minutes for an explanation. He made his judgment in seconds.
A striking imbalance.
So here's the question. If Vali had possessed even a fraction of his brother's patience, if he had just listened to Sugriva's story before acting, would the entire Ramayana have played out differently? A united Vali and Sugriva would have been an unstoppable force. But history, I guess, turns on these small, tragic hinges.
That's the great what-if of mythology.
Thanks for diving in with us.
It was a pleasure.
Until the next deep dive.
Jai Shri Ram.